Hello, one and all, and welcome to Let's Play Pikmin 2. I am the Max of Few Trades. It's been almost 9 years since I Let's Played the first Pikmin game on this channel, so how about we just go right ahead and maybe cut the theatrics and just play ourselves some Pikmin 2. This is, I don't know where it would be on the great pantheon of games I like, but Pikmin 2 is a game that I hold very dearly to my heart personally, much more than I do the first one, and I loved the first one. I personally feel like Pikmin 2 took everything that was the original game, supercharged it to the umpteenth degree, and made it so much better than anyone could have possibly imagined. It did such a good job that I honestly consider Pikmin 3 to be a massive step down, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to reintroduce ourselves to the good Captain Olimar, probably end up on the same planet that we did before, and get ourselves into some crazy shenanigans with little Pikmin creatures. It's gonna be fun, it's gonna be hilarious, it's gonna be somewhat heartwarming, but in a large part, rather disturbing. A lot of the creatures in this game are messed up to the nth degree, far more than I remembered. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Anyway, when we last left Olimar all those years ago, he managed to escape what was, for all intents and purposes, Earth. He escaped from Earth because that place has toxic oxygen all over the place. He had to get out of there after he got a ship crash down there. The Pikmin helped him out. He was able to get his ship put back together, and he flew off back to his home. What happened after that? Well, I guess we'll find out now, won't we? I mean, I already know, but you might not. Hocotate Freight is a long-haul deep space shipping company. Package delivery, the most noble of causes. One day, its only employee of any merit, Captain Olimar. Done got kerbonked, right on dang to a dang old planet. Crashed on an uncharted planet. Well, on a something or another. There, he was aided by indigenous creatures, which he called Pikmin. I gotta read faster. In the end, Captain Olimar escaped. It was rather good, assuming you got the good ending. But in Olimar's absence, his employer, Hocotate Freight, ran into financial difficulties. Which is odd, because he was only gone for like 30 days at most. So, I'm not 100% sure how a company can do so poorly so quickly. Anyway, here's Captain Olimar. He's a rather swell dude, let's be real. And this is Planet Hocotate. It's like Saturn, but double time. Also, in the month he's been gone, either that sign deteriorated very quickly, or it was always that way. President of Hocotate Freight and local employee, Louie. What are they doing here? What is all this shenaniganery? Olimar, I'm so glad you're safe. Yes, very glad, quite glad, but sadly, I have an announcement that is not so glad. Our company is going under. Yes, we're finished. On his first mission, Louie here met a ravenous space bunny. As you do, of course. And his entire load of golden Pick brand carrots was eaten. I assume they were made legitimately of gold. I took out an enormous loan to repay the debt from this loss. And, yeah, that didn't go so well. I decided to sell off corporate assets to repay the loan. And, well, haha, we did not have a lot. Anyway, you know that ship you spent your whole game repairing? Yeah, we're gonna take that. Bye. The only asset we had to sell was your ship, the SS Dolphin. As for the rest of our loan... oh boy. We have no means to repay it. Shock and awe. Olimar, what is that? 'Tis a bottle cap, not that we know what that is. You brought that back as a souvenir for your kid? Louie hates children! Treasure! Treasure, treasure! Money, 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 money! It's mine now, sucker! To hell with your child! Initiating valuation of recovered treasure. This artifact is worth 100 Pokos! This thing's worth 100 Pokos? That's more than a year's salary! Ye gods! Nice round number. What? There are more on that planet? Think you can repay our debt? Louie, you dolt, look alive! You must depart immediately! With Captain Olimar! You might think he wants to go see his family, but, no! Haha! Except he totally does. He just doesn't have a choice in the matter. Hey, by the way, could you send a message to my family that I'm not dead? That'd be cool. Something I never really understood was the only company asset we had to sell was Olimar's ship. Then what's this ship? I get that it's kind of junky in comparison, but like, surely you would have sold that first, you know? Find that very odd. The Valley of Repose. Interestingly enough for Olimar, he decided to go to a place on the world that he didn't visit before. Brocken! Well, I hope you guys all enjoyed Louie, because he's dead. By legal definition, that wasn't a crash landing. Not a comfortable one, but not a crash. Anything you can walk away from. Berserkses! Oh, that was close. I have averted a crash landing. Running diagnostics. Alert! Danger! Louie is missing. He must have somehow fallen out of his cockpit. Probably when we hit that branch and he was jettisoned. Do these ships not have any form of seatbelt? I'm not an expert on rockets. I'm not a rocket scientist, as it were, but I'm pretty sure there's some sort of strap you put around something or another on you in order to not fly away. He is not responding via his communicator. He is either flouting protocol or in danger, or just straight up dead. I mean, he did fall a really far away. Olimar, you must find Louie before he freezes to death in the cold of this planet. Wait a moment, look! What beeth over there? By the gods of serendipity! It be some Pikmin! Could these be Pikmin? They look like they're about to be devoured as we speak, which would be unfortunate because we need them. If they were to die, we wouldn't be able to get out of this tutorial. You must help them, quickly! Press B to call them with your whistle, Captain Olimar. You can also hold B to make the sound of your whistle carry farther. Remember? As a matter of fact, I do. I am not a fool! I'll save you, Pikmins! Ah, hello, my old friends. Probably not the specific ones I had back then, but they're likely related. The Pikmin ran to your side. They seem to remember you on some sort of weird genetic level. Captain Olimar, how fascinating. Give them instructions and do not delay. Hold A to grab a Pikmin and release to throw it by its head stick. They don't seem to care our mind, so why not? All right, you guys want you to know a fun little secret extra? I think this was the case in the first one, but if not, it is in this one. If you aim tired and true, you can just... Ah! No! Okay, well, luckily this tutorial is ridiculously, redonkulously easy, and the Pikmin can't actually die. This is the only time Pikmin are immune to death. Realistically, they should have died from that. But it's okay. If you aim properly, you can kill a little... you know, little blow-blorb guy pretty much instantaneously in one hit. But, you know, he moved right out of the way as I was doing it. Attention, Captain Olimar, I have just re-established my communications link with Louie. Ain't that fancy? It is fortunate we have managed to confirm his safety. Or at the very least, his consciousness. Press Y to communicate with him. Otherwise known as switch it over. I am interested in the details of his condition. Well, I imagine he'd be in a lot similar state to us, except more splatted. Except, nay, he's fine. You can even see where he landed. Always liked that. Who approacheth the Louie? Louie, allow me to assess your condition, as per our safety protocols. Are you at all injured? Well, I mean, you don't have much brain function, but that's not different. Is that so? Well, then my concerns are erased. Our communication link shows you are nearby. Can you make your way to our location and rejoin us? I will navigate for you. Press start pause to contact me and obtain information about the terrain. Well, luckily, that's not really much of a concern for us right now. While this game does, in fact, still have its day and night cycles, which, you know, you have to pay very close attention to, on day one, no such concern is given to you, as the game is far more interested in making sure you know how to play the game before it puts the time limit on everything. The double good news is that this game doesn't have a forced time limit, where Olimar in the first game only had 30 days to get all of his ship parts before he ran out of oxygen and died. In Pikmin 2, you can take as long as you want. You don't have to be in a big old stinking rush the whole dang time. A thing they decided to completely remove from Pikmin 3 and give you an arbitrary time limit again. I don't know why they did that, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Pikmin and their onion. Louie knows not what he sees. Louie, the odd object before you appears to be one of the onions mentioned in Olamar's report. He did make very detailed reports. And randomly, a Pikmin seed has sprouted. There's really no reason for it to have done that, but thank goodness it did. Otherwise, Louie would kind of be stuck, because there were no other Pikmins. The seed the onion ejected just sprouted. According to Olamar's report, it can be plucked with A. These are some fast-acting plants, let me tell you. Tally-ho! Hello, little fellow. I understand some people can find them creepy, but I always found Pikmin to be really cute. Louie! This must be one of the Pikmin creatures from Olamar's report. You don't know this, but I actually saw them earlier, but I'm pretending I haven't so you don't feel left out. It is staring at you, intently. You can use C to issue objectives to your Pikmin squad, and even direct their movement. It's pretty dope. You can disband your squad with X. Interesting, interesting. Olamar's description of the creatures resembling Pikmin carrots was strikingly accurate. Please do not consume them. As you can see, Louie is hungry, and he wishes to consume the Pikmin. This is ill-advised. My sensors have detected drool in the corner of your mouth. Are you all right? Mild brain damage. Don't worry about it. I am fine and dandy. Although I am intimidated greatly! Sweet merciful Jesus, someone save me from this demon! Is he still following me? He is still following me. I am no longer concerned. Just look at the camera. I never knew what to make of that cutscene. Anyway, we're gonna need ourselves some more Pikmins. Otherwise, we're gonna be in a bit of a sticky wicket. We need as many of the little dudes as we can possibly muster. And in order to do that, we need to find pellets and other such things. I'm not entirely sure how the evolution of plant life on Earth after, humanity got eradicated would lead to such things, such as pellets growing in flowers with actual numerical numbers on them. Not sure how that works, but the onion ejected more seeds. The pellet from the flower must hold nutrients that breed Pikmin. Yes, the Pikmin gather nutrients, haul them to the onion, and further propagate the species. The onion is a Pikmin mothership. Reviewing Olamar's report, it seems repeatedly tapping A lets one rapidly pluck Pikmin sprouts. At least for now, until we can get some pretty sweet upgrades. But those are gonna be a little while from now. But trust me, there are some pretty awesome upgrades that we can get for our captains. That's gonna make a lot of things real easy for us. Anyway, ta-da! All right, you go over yonder and just bring that over to the onion mothership as best you possibly can, little fellows. Yes. Okay, well, not that I don't appreciate the teamwork, but I was kind of under the impression that, one of you would take that one and one of you would take the other one. Thank you. Obviously, Pikmin that work together can carry things faster and further and all that good stuff. Well, I mean, further is not a thing. It's not like Pikmin can get tired, but you get my point. It's all a matter of whether or not you want to get one thing there really fast or two things kind of slow. It's within your right to question which is more accurate and worth it to you. Regardless, more Pikmins, please. Pickety, wickety, pickety, pickety. That's something I always did. I just love the little noises these little weirdos make. They're the greatest. All right, there we go. Now we've got a grand total of 16 Pikmins, including the Olimar ones. Oh, by the way, in case you are unfamiliar with what exactly Olimar and Louie's voices sounded like, seriously, this is legitimately it. When you hit the button to switch over to the other captain, that character will say their name. This is Olimar's voice. Exactly. And Louie's? They're surprisingly deep. One more. Louie. Like, my God. These are some baritone fellows. Would not anticipate such a thing. Everybody assumes they got squeaky, high-pitched voices. They do not. Regardless, have you paid tribute to our Lord and Savior Duracell batteries? You best, because they be here. Much like the monolith, it shall grant us and bestow us with great wisdom. Perhaps this object is one of the treasures that we are searching for. That's right, everybody. Treasure is basically a keyword meaning leftover garbage from when humans were things. And if you're wondering, I'm pretty sure it was a different brand of battery in Japan. The only reason we found it here is because this is where you crash landed. How fortunate! I know it's fortunate, but I say words wrong on purpose because I think it's funny. I'd like to appraise it, but you must regroup with Olimar first. Can you see him? Press L to move the camera behind you, or to zoom, and Z to change your angles. I ain't got time for none of that. It's true, this thing's a bit too heavy for us to be able to bring it back to the ship now, but I see no reason why we can't have the little Pikmin fellows at least dig the thing out first. Pikmin are very adept at digging. Their biology and etymology and all that other stuff, it baffles me. Is etymology plants? I don't think, no, that would be like botany, or botanitology. Look, I never once claimed at any point in my life to be a smart individual, okay? I just play video games on the internet. Get off my back. Anyway, large paper bag. Luckily, we happen to have just enough Pikmin to flatten this thing down and get them reunited. So much coincidences and fortuitous events. Olimar's so happy he did a wicked backflip. What say ye, ship? Captain Olimar, Louie, you are reunited at last, and it feels so good. This has been a troublesome start to our trip. But now that you must feel assured that your combined wits can get you through anything, correct? Well, I imagine Olimar would be feeling a little bit better about the situation when you consider the fact that he was here completely on his own last time. At least now he's got Louie and the ship at the same time. It's pretty good. From now on, use B to form a single group, X to take solo action, and Y to change leaders. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I mean, the idea and point behind that is to kind of have two separate groups go off into two separate directions. I rarely do that. It's an option. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. If anything, it's actually a very sound strategical idea. And I'll probably try to do it at least a little bit, but it was never really a strategy. I kind of just liked having the two of them hang out with each other. Now you might be wondering what I'm doing with the corpse of my enemy. I'm saying a lot of things, assuming you haven't seen or played the first Pikmin game, and this is your first exposure to it. Well, as it turns out, that it takes more than just plant matter to create Pikmin. Oh, that is true. For you see, you can take the discarded and rotting remains of your enemies and bring them over to the onions, where they are broken down into their, components, much like how humans are made of carbon and what have you. Once they are brought down to their base minerals, they're able to be converted into the energies necessary to propagate Pikmin. I believe I made the observation in my first Pikmin Let's Play that basically this makes the onions essentially reincarnation machines. Imagine you died and then your body got broken apart, your consciousness got divided up upon itself and spread among, let's see, how many? Let's find out real quick. 4. Imagine if your consciousness got split into 4 and became 4 separate individuals of an entirely new species. To the best of my knowledge, Pikmin are entirely unaware of this aspect, and they don't remember the lives they once had, but imagine if they could. Oh, the dark stories they could tell. I can only imagine. Anyway, if you'd all be so kind as to just sort of, there you go. Yeah, you got that big old battery. I've always wondered, I'm not entirely sure what kind of battery this is. I mean, I know what kind, but I mean, I think a AA would be a bit thinner than this, so I think this is actually meant to be a C battery? No, wait. Yeah, C battery, because a C battery would be the kind of short, chunky ones. AAAs are the super duper thin ones. I know it's not a D battery, because those ones are square-shaped. These are the things I know. These are the things I know. Anyway, boy howdy, am I gonna have a wonderful opportunity to stretch my improvisational muscles. A lot of things in this game are going to involve a little bit of waiting for the Pikmins to get themselves around. So, we're gonna be spending a lot of time together. Hope you guys don't mind. Anyway, Louie, how do you feel about this situation? Why don't you ever look me in the eyes, Louie? Just go stun. This friendship is built upon lies and distrust. And that's only partially a joke. Anyway. Come on, bring it over. Let's see how much this Duracell battery is worth. And I'm not talking about, advertising revenue. 280. The Courage Reactor. Yeah, so because the Hokatations and whatnot, don't actually have any vague idea what any of these Earth artifacts even are. They just kind of make vague guesses and give them silly names. So, that's pretty neat. Also, I found it interesting that a battery that's been sitting out for as long as it has to be an empty battery at this point. Like, even a brand new battery, if you just left it lying on the ground for a decade, would run out of power on its own. Eventually, it would slowly seep out. So, an empty battery is only worth 180 more Pocos than a bottle cap. I can only assume they're melting it down for resources at that point. That's another one of the things I like to think, because we're going to be picking up a lot of stuff like this, and I always try to wonder just, what is it that they do with these things once they've sold them, you know? Something like that, it kind of just has to be, you know, some kind of mineral acquisition. Our first day of exploration has yielded our first treasure. We'll be done in record time. I took the liberty of naming it when I appraised it. The name reflects my current thinking, as it were. Leave it to me to think up catchy names for hit products. It is but one of my many talents, for I am a friggin' robot. We shall end our first day here and report back to our president. His face will surely be joyous and somewhat bulbous. He is a flabby fellow. However, to communicate with Hokatate, we must fly into low orbit above the planet. Which is really good, because things get messy down here at night. We will not return to the surface until morning, so as to avoid the indigenous nocturnal creatures. Also, the Pikmin are smart enough to be able to go back over to their onion. At least I assume as much. I didn't really get a chance to recall them. So I'm assuming they're not all dying at the end of the tutorial. That'd be kind of not very cool of you, game, if I'm being entirely honest. Anyway, and a zoom zoom, a room room we go. And I didn't see any Pikmin dying horribly, so tally ho. Today's report. We found ourselves a courage reactor. Ain't that swell and dandy? We also gained 20 Pikmin, and we didn't even lose any. Expect that number to not be a thing. As much as I would absolutely love to provide you guys all with a no dead Pikmin run, I'm not nearly talented enough in order to accomplish that. I'm going to, at the very bare minimum, never lose all of my Pikmin at once. I can tell you that much. I'm gonna definitely not let that be a thing. Regardless, yeah, the game really does take track of every single Pikmin and how they specifically die. So, they really rub the salt in the wound of your lack of leadership capabilities. You found your first bit of treasure! Fine work! Our future depends on your efforts, so check your treasure hoard regularly. I'll check it often. Keep up the pace. Thank you, Presidente. We don't actually ever learn what his name is. He's just the president of Hokatate. But we call him President. Your guess is as good as mine on that front. Alrighty. So it is a brand new day, and we gotta work on filling out that entire, you know, that debt thing that's going on here. So while there is no time limit to everything that takes place, there's kind of an incentive, sort of, in that the longer you take, the more perilous the president's adventures become in his efforts to avoid being arrested for debt evasion. It gets pretty dark, actually. So I don't think I'm gonna really be showing that particular aspect off. At least I'd kind of prefer not to, but you know. Anyway, before we head back down to the Valley of Repose to gain more treasures, fight more demons, other such things, let's take a look at the Piccolopedia. Here you can actually see how much these creatures are worth monetarily. That's right, you can place worth in something's body and existence. How many Pikmin you've lost to them, how many of them you've killed. You can even go in and toss carrots at them, and they'll get all like, oh, hell yeah, is that something we can eat? Blah, blah, blah. And they ravenously descend upon it like a horde of zombies. It's actually kind of messed up from this angle. Good lord. All right, well, that's certainly a thing. And pretty much anything that you can bring over and create Pikmin out of becomes a thing. Obviously, the pellet posies are not going to react too much to me throwing carrots around, which is a bummer, because if the game wanted to suddenly, you know, announce the fact that these things have been carnivorous the entire time and we never knew it, that would actually have been rather awesome. Regardless, something else that I've always really super duper loved. Okay, I just realized it actually says creatures defeated. I mean, I guess they are plants, so you are defeating them, by definition. Anyway, a thing I've always super duper loved about this game is Olimar's notes, where he straight up pretty much just gives you a little kind of nature documentary-esque summarization of everything. It's pretty great. A pellet posy, Amplus nutrio, the pelletweed family. I don't know why this is what I'm giving Olimar as this voice. I know that's not what he sounds like. But then again, I'd be talking like,
in the system of the pellet posy, in the stem of the pellet posy.
Now I'm talking like a really bad Satchmo impersonation. Whatever. One can observe the muscle fiber unique to half-plant, half-animal species such as the Pikmin and candy pop flowers. So the pellet posy is a species that can be considered a close relative. They're basically Pikmin relatives. Crazy! Although the ability to crystallize nectar is unique to a small group of the pelletweed family, the fact that these plants reach maturity so quickly and that their pellets contain such high concentrations of the natural nutrients in the soil explains why the Pikmin and so many of the other indigenous species are so reliant on these pellets for sustenance. It's rather neat! Now this thing, the dwarf red bulborb, this is something that so many people, this is how you can separate the Pikmin fans from the Pikmin nerds. You might be thinking, oh, why ain't bulborbs so much bigger? Yeah, they usually are. Then you're like, oh, then dwarf red bulborbs, those must be the baby bulborbs. That's what they are, that's what the baby. No! Dwarf red bulborb, Panosaurus paneduculi russus of the breadbug family. Although initially identified as a juvenile red bulborb, groundbreaking new research indicates that this creature is in fact a member of the breadbug family. A close relative of the vanilla breadbug. We haven't met one of those, but we will. It escapes predation through mimicry. Unique adaptation of the red bulborb's crimson coloration allows the species to safely commingle. Such effective adaptation and obfuscation by a prey species is rare, indicating this clever creature is a master of mimicry, in that they basically look and act exactly like a bulborb in every capacity. Once you see a breadbug, you're gonna be rather surprised at just how good at mimicry they really are. I assure you of that. And we can also take a quick look on over here at the battery we found. Whoa, you can even spin around it. Whoa, it's crazy. All right, so this is actually interesting. Okay, so eventually we're gonna gain the ability to, over time, the ship is going to gain the ability to come up with basically sales bargains, or not bargains, sales pitches for all of the items we find, and that'll eventually become something that we can add here. There's something else is added to the Piccolopedia about the monsters, and it's from Louie's perspective. And if you've never played Pikmin 2, you'll be incredibly interested to know what it is he has to say about various creatures. We'll get to that when we get to that. But right now, we only have Olimar's thoughts on both subjects. We've recovered our first treasure! Amazingly, the Pikmin remembered how to salvage it. I can't understand their adorable language, and I don't know what they're thinking, yet I'm so happy to see them. When I crashed on this planet, the Pikmin helped me locate my missing ship parts. In my darkest hour, the Pikmin were there for me. Now that I'm reunited with them, I know everything will be alright. It will, right? I can't promise you anything whatsoever, good Captain Olimar. I can merely only say that ultimately we will succeed in our endeavor. No real promises on being, quick, orderly, or without horrifying injury. But, yeah. I digress. Let's head back to the valley and see what kind of crazy shenanigans we can get into. Abada-ding, abada-doong, abada-bow. Those flips are unnecessary but appreciated.
引っこ抜かれてあなただけについてゆく今日も運ぶ戦う増えるそして食べられるほったかされて